I know you like it. I know you like it! Oh! Oh! Again! Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another edition of the Conscast, and in today's episode we're going to be talking about Anthem gameplay because I realize that not everybody has 10 hours to go back and watch the big-ass live stream that I had yesterday. Not to mention that a big portion of that live stream just happens to be me sitting on a login screen or at the loading screen trying to actually get into the game. But anyway, before we actually get into today's video, it is important to mention that that live stream and pretty much every Anthem video moving forward is only made possible through the EA Gamechangers Program because they're the ones that provide me with a code so that I can actually play the game and tell you guys my opinions on it. And I know that a lot of people have specific feelings when it comes to the EA Gamechangers Program. Here's what I can tell you about it. The only thing I get from the EA Gamechangers Program is the game code, nothing else. That means literally nothing else. Don't even try to speculate anything. I get a game code so that I can tell you guys about it, just like I get from other publishers for other games. Now then, let's get started. The first thing that I want to bring up is the server issues that happened with the VIP demo because I think it is important to mention that. Here's the thing, right? Anthem is currently under a microscope and everybody is looking for anything that can be possibly wrong with this game because it's being published by EA and developed by BioWare, two entities that have kind of messed up in the past really, really, really bad. So people are just looking for anything they can lob at this game. And a situation like the server issues that we've had yesterday are completely unacceptable. And they should have done better. That's the way that I feel about it. I know that people have been saying, oh, but it's a 6-week-old build and this and that. No. There's no excuses. The name of that thing is the VIP demo. It is a perk for people that pre-ordered this video game. There's no excuse. Do better and do right by the people that actually pre-ordered this game. That's the only thing that I have to say about the server issues because I don't want to, linger on it anymore. It was a big problem. It is still a problem. It is still happening today as I'm recording this video. They need to sort that out because next week it's only going to get worse. So anyways, let's talk about this. A lot of people are going to instantly bring up, oh, it's just pay-to-play Warframe or it's just like Destiny. And in my opinion, I've played both those games, and this game plays different. It almost seems that a lot of people forget that another game existed. It was called Mass Effect Andromeda. And I can't blame you for forgetting that game existed, considering all of the problems that game has. But the gameplay that you experience in Anthem is essentially very similar to what you experienced if you actually played Mass Effect Andromeda. I'm not talking about the glitched out cutscenes or the crappy story or any of that stuff. I'm talking about the actual gameplay when you are out in doing combat in Mass Effect Andromeda. That is the closest that you can kind of approximate to an Anthem, okay? With the addition, naturally, of the flight mechanics and all of that stuff. So having said that, me experiencing the gameplay was something that I was particularly curious because I wanted to feel how responsive the controls were, how the gunplay was, how everything felt and played because that is the deciding factor that would, dictate whether or not I wanted to play this game in the long term. I know that different people are going to have different opinions about this. There's several people saying the gameplay is perfect. I don't think that is the case. There's other people saying the gameplay is terrible. I definitely don't think that is the case. I think the gameplay is really, really fun. And anyone that was watching the live stream yesterday will have seen that because you guys will have seen that I was genuinely enjoying myself, particularly when I started doing the Stronghold with the Colossus. After I unlocked the Colossus and I actually got to do the shield slams and all of the other things that the Colossus can do, that's when I really started getting into it. And then because the Colossus, in my opinion, is actually a Javelin that requires quite a bit of skill to play properly, because whereas all of the other Javelins have like the blue shield that they get, which constantly regenerates and gives you like a bit of room to make mistakes and stuff like that, you don't get that on the Colossus. The Colossus has a shield, but it's a directional shield, so people shoot you from behind. It doesn't matter. Your shield counts for nothing. So if you've got no health, you put up your shield, but there's someone behind you, you can just get instantly one-shot. And that, in a way, it made me happy, because it's going to require a lot more skill to properly play a Colossus than, say, a Ranger. That's My opinion from what I've played in the beta, I could be wrong. Either way, that's just the feeling that I got. But basically, one of the cool things that I got from that was the fact that I've only unlocked the Colossus, by the way. I played both on PC and PS4, and I unlocked the Colossus on both. Because you guys know, I've been excited about playing the Colossus, so I wanted to just play Colossus. And I also wanted to play Ranger because those are the two Javelins that I want to be playing. So the cool thing that I wanted to bring up here is that from those two Javelins, the way that they play is completely different. And that was something that I was concerned. I was worried if it was going to be like, okay, so you get this Javelin, then you get this one, and the only thing that changes is, you know, a couple of abilities here and there, but mostly it plays the same. And in my opinion, those two play completely different. They're the complete, almost opposite ends of the spectrum, and that was very satisfying to me because it does tell me that when you do start playing, your choice of Javelin is going to impact the way in which you play the game. Another cool thing from the gameplay that I got to experience yesterday was just how often you get to use the abilities in the Javelins. It is much more frequent than I would expect. And that is another really positive aspect because it's not just about shooting guns. As a matter of fact, there were a lot of times where shooting guns was the least of my concern. I was more concerned about doing melee hits because I can do AoE melee hits with the Colossus, and you can do shield slams, which actually deal significant damage. And at the same time, they also stagger enemies, which is very important, particularly when you're dealing with some of those snipers that are trying to hit people from far away. You can actually get in close and personal, smack them around so that they stop channeling their sniper shot, which deals ridiculous amounts of damage. And being able to repeatedly use your abilities feels good. It gives you this distinct feel of power. Like, the amount of times that you can throw grenades with the Ranger is pretty cool. The amount of times that you can throw the missiles with the Ranger is pretty cool. And the more you hit with these abilities, it seems that makes the ultimate ability charge faster. The ultimate ability on the Colossus, god damn, dude. It's every time I do that, it just blows my mind. I love it. And here's the thing. Like, listen, BioWare, EA, if you guys happen to be watching this video, listen, this is very important. In regards to the Colossus, you can adjust the damage of its ultimate ability all you want, make it go up, make it go down, whatever you want, I don't care. You cannot change the spell effect or the explosion effect when we shoot that gun. Every time you shoot it, nobody can see anything on screen. The screen just becomes a giant fucking explosion, and I love that. That's friggin' awesome, okay? The other thing that is really cool is the flying. It takes a little bit getting used to, particularly I hear with mouse and keyboard. I've heard that a lot of people are having some serious problems with mouse and keyboard. I tried flying with mouse and keyboard, and it just did not feel right for some reason. Like, I remember even the first time I tried flying, I just like ended up crashing into the ground because I couldn't figure out what the hell was happening. With the controller, it's extremely intuitive and super easy. But with mouse and keyboard, I think it's going to take people quite a bit of fiddling around in order to get that right. As a matter of fact, there's even this whole topic that I've seen on Reddit. There was someone complaining about a bunch of PC related things. But like I said, I played everything with a controller because I wanted to get used to it for the PS4 anyways. So in that regards, it felt fine. But I do hear that a lot of people are having problems with mouse and keyboard. It is most likely going to require quite a bit of adjustment for you to actually be able to fly around properly. Like, everything else from what I hear feels okay, but the flying feels rough. I do remember the developer saying on one of the live streams that it is going to require quite a bit of fine tuning for people to get used to mouse and keyboard. So I don't know. I don't know if that's something that they'll be able to change in future builds, what it's going to feel like with the flying. But I do remember that people do flying in Elite Dangerous with mouse and keyboard all the time. So I don't know, like, what they gotta fix in that regard. What I can tell is that with the controller, which is what I played for the most part, it felt pretty good. The flying, if there was one thing that I would point towards the flying, is that I would like to be able to take off in a specific direction without necessarily having to face my character in that direction or having to turn the camera that direction. It's something very specific to me, but say for instance my character is facing forward and I would like to be able to take off backwards. Well, not backwards, but just take off in the opposite direction. And with the current control scheme, I couldn't find a good way to do that. I would have to manually turn my character around or turn the camera around to face the other direction, depending on the settings that you have, and then you would be able to take off and fly in the opposite direction, which a lot of the times I felt like I want to be faster. I want to be able to do this stuff faster. And if you just try taking off while your character is facing in the opposite direction, you end up flying in a direction that you don't want. But again, that is something very specific to me. I haven't really heard anybody else talk about that, so I don't think that that is going to be a big problem. It might just be something that I need to get used to, and maybe once I get used to it, it will feel better. One of the things that was kind of weird to me always is when you're standing up against a wall, like say you're standing right next to a wall, and you want to fly directly upwards, that also feels a little bit unintuitive, because a lot of times I would try doing that and my character would just fly face first into the wall instead of actually flying upwards. So I don't know. But again, for the most part, flying felt pretty damn cool. And that actually becomes another one of my criticisms, which is, so you have this game that you've made, right, which is Anthem, and the flight feels great, the shooting feels good, the abilities feel friggin' fantastic. I love the abilities. That's probably one of my favorite things, just like trying out the different abilities, blowing up, doing combos. The ultimate in the Colossus is so good. Again! You have all of these things, and ultimately you kind of use them to do these mundane tasks that we've seen time and time before in other video games, right? Because, I mean, if we're talking about quests and world events and all that stuff, you're talking about, okay, go over here, kill a bunch of people, go over there, pick up this item, take it over here. Like I said on a previous video that I'd done, and in one of the live streams, one of the developers even said, oh, the objective of this is to pick up the thing and put it in the thing. And it's like, I did not see anything that was significantly different from that gameplay throughout my entire time with the VIP demo, and that was something that I was specifically looking for. Now, again, this is the demo. I don't know what are all of the activities that are going to be available in the final game, if there are more things that we can do, if they are, you know, holding their cards close to their chest, and maybe they're like, oh, no, but in the final game, you're going to be able to do all of these different things. We don't know. We just don't know. But in the demo, I was hoping to see something that was going to be significantly different, and it's like, you know, silencing relics. What's that? You pick up a bunch of stuff that's spread throughout the map, and you put it in a place, and the relic is silenced. You do that again, and the relic is silenced. There was another one that was slightly different, where I had to pick up stuff, and then I had to take it to different locations and put it down instead of putting everything in the same spot, and then the relic was silenced. And you see, that is the problem. And the activities were kind of like in the same way. It's like, oh, you got to go kill these targets because they're real important. And sometimes it would be like a mini boss, like this spider tank looking thing that you had to kill. And, you know, you go in there, you kill it, and hey, we did it. We did the thing. And then it's like, oh, go over here, kill all these people. And make no mistake, the gameplay feels great while you're doing this because you're flying around, you're doing all of these things, and it feels good, it plays good, you know, the abilities feel solid. It's fun to just dive down and do your melee attacks and do all of these different things. But I almost wish that they would have focused more on having activities that you could do while actually flying. Like, imagine actually being able to do almost, I'm not saying exactly like this, but almost actually doing dogfighting while you're in the air. Never once have I felt like I was actually doing that, because you have this great flight system for all these suits, and a lot of the time you actually spend it on the ground. You use the flying, the traversal, and for escape. For like, oh, I'm in trouble right now, so I'm going to just take off, run away, and then come back when my shield regenerates or once I've been able to pick up some health. So it's like, that's kind of like where you use your flying. Use it for traversal, and it feels great to traverse while flying and exploring the world and figuring out where you can go, that you can go under the waterfall so that it cools down your jets, like they've said in previous live streams and all that stuff. That feels great. It's good. It's really fantastic. I love it. The shooting is good. The abilities are good. But what you are doing with this amazing kit that you've developed feels a little bit more mundane, It's like, at the end of the day, what are you doing? You're going to a place. You're killing a bunch of dudes. You're going to another place. You're picking up an item. You're doing... Just imagine if on top of all those activities, you could like participate in some kind of an aerial battle where you would actually be flying, and say, for instance, you would have like, I don't know, in certain locations where, hey, the air is cool around here, and you can set up a quest there where you would actually be able to fly the whole time, and you'd be able to use your abilities while actually flying, as in like, I'm not talking about hovering, because there's a distinction here. Flying is when your character is actually horizontal, moving at great speeds, and hovering is when your character is vertical and he's, you know, flying but slower. So most of the times when you're using your abilities, you're going to be hovering, not necessarily flying. And I wanted to have like this more faster paced, you know, something that was a little bit more faster paced. Could they have put that in the final game and I just don't know? Maybe. I hope so. Because I can tell you guys right now, I want to cover more of this game. I had a blast playing it yesterday. The highlight of the VIP demo, in my opinion, is the final boss in the Stronghold, which is that boss that you guys have seen on the very first gameplay reveal. It just feels so satisfying to unload on that creature. It's great. And the other thing that I thought was really cool is that a lot of people were talking about how, oh, they're going to make the demo easier because, you know, they want people to think that it's easier. I did not think that demo was that easy, particularly if you go up against the Stronghold. Dude, some of the enemies in there will just like straight up cleave through your whole party if you do not have a good party. Now, if you have a good party, people that actually know what the hell they're doing, then sure, it feels great and, you know, you can actually progress at an acceptable pace. But if your party doesn't know what they're doing, it can actually get pretty tough. Now, another thing that I would like to point out is the sections that you go into Fort Tarsus. I did not find Fort Tarsus particularly appealing. Now, it could be because there are a lot of things that are still walled off in the demo. There's a lot of things that you go around, it's like, oh, you can't do anything here. But particularly, there are certain portions, because you do a mission, and a mission, in certain portions of the mission, they have you go through Fort Tarsus to talk with different characters. And I found myself just wishing, why can't this just be a cutscene? Just make this be one long cutscene in Fort Tarsus, as opposed to, okay, go talk to this character. Now you've talked to this character, go talk to this other character. Okay, the character you're looking for is not here, go look over there. And I was just like, dude, really? You're having me do FedEx inside of Fort Tarsus? I understand that you want people to have a hub so that they can like walk around the hub and it's cool. It gives you, how should I put it? It gives you like a respite from all of the action that you're doing when you're on the suits and stuff. And I do think that that is important to pace the game. But at the same time, like there are certain things that can just be cutscenes. You like, there's a part of the quest that they have you talk with like 3 or 4 different characters, and you're just walking through Fort Tarsus doing nothing, just looking for these 4 characters. And maybe I'm nitpicking a little bit here, but it's just like, to me, that could have just been a cutscene. So like, just have it be a cutscene and have my character like walk to the other place for me, because like, what am I doing? Because you move so slow in Fort Tarsus. That's the other thing. While you're in Fort Tarsus, it's so slow if you actually move. And there is a run, but you can barely tell the difference whether you're walking or running. Like if you tell people that there's actually a run button in Fort Tarsus, people are like, no, there's not. There is. If you actually pay attention and you press the run button, your character does change the way that he's moving. He moves like slightly a teeny bit faster, but it's so little that most people won't even tell the difference. So I do feel like the Tarsus part could use a little bit of polish. I wish there were more unique activities to the mechanics of flying in the game, because that would be way cooler than just, you know, stuff that we've seen before. But overall, I came out of it pretty positive, because I still enjoyed the abilities quite a bit. I still enjoyed the moment-to-moment gameplay, dude. Just like killing people, shooting people feels good. Using the abilities, using the ultimates, all of that stuff feels good. But again, I wish that the activities that you use this kit that they've created were more interesting. Maybe it's just because it's a demo, and maybe the stuff that's in the demo is just to keep low profile so that people get really wowed when the actual game comes out. But I don't know. Ultimately, one of the most asked questions that I had yesterday throughout my live stream is whether or not the game is worth the money. And basically, the only thing I can tell you guys about that is you should play it for yourself next weekend, assuming that we're not plagued by server issues and people are actually able to play the game. Because they're going to hold a demo that everybody can play. It runs throughout the whole weekend, I think. Starts on the 1st of February, runs until the 3rd. And you should play it then, because it'll supposedly be open to everyone, and everyone will just be able to play it. Just play the game and figure it out for yourself, whether or not it's worth it. Someone else at one point asked me, now that you've experienced the demo, would you buy the game? And my answer to that is probably yes, because I liked the gameplay enough that I want to play more of it. I want to see what else the game has to offer, and I'm curious to see just what else they do with it. Because again, there's a lot of potential in what they've created in terms of the flight mechanics, the abilities, the different javelins, all that stuff, the combo system. There's a lot of potential there. And one of the things that actually encourages me is how transparent the developers have been, how they've been listening to the community, like the whole launch-based situation that happened recently. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but one of the things that I brought up in one of my videos not so long ago is actually like, kind of sucks that you don't have a social space that you can actually show off, like all the customization that you can do to your Javelin. And like, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, they just announced, oh, by the way, we're making a launch bay. 16 players can go there and you can all hang out there and see the Javelins and all that stuff. And I was like, okay. Because apparently a lot of people were talking about how there wasn't a social space in the game. And they were just like, okay, well, we'll just fucking make one. Boom. So if that's the way that they're going to handle the rest of the development of Anthem, I think that can be potentially really positive. Now, it is important to mention that you can't just look at your community and do everything that your community want, but certain things do make sense, like the launch-based situation. Like another thing that they've mentioned recently is that potentially in the future, they will allow people to reroll inscriptions and items, which is one of the biggest things that I've mentioned when I talked about the items, that these items are too fucking RNG. It's ridiculous. And I believe that Ben Irving said recently, he's like, well, maybe after we launch the game, we might implement something so that people can re-roll the inscriptions on their items to go ahead and, get better versions of their items. And I think that's a good thing. It's like they are listening and they are making interesting changes. But the other concern that I then have is the long-term viability of Anthem, because they've kind of made a bad first impression with this VIP demo. Let's not mince words. That's exactly what happened. And there were even like repeated people in my chat yesterday saying, oh, I'm going to cancel my pre-order and all of these things. And I was like, I mean, you're entitled to. If you're not happy, if you don't like the fact that the VIP demo had all of these server issues, you should do whatever you think is right. But the problem there becomes, what if Anthem doesn't perform according to EA's expectations? We've seen it time and time again with a lot of these games, because EA still has to deal with their investors and all of that other stuff. So they're going to have certain expectations for Anthem. What happens if Anthem doesn't meet those expectations and it's still a good game? I think that is the big question when it comes to Anthem, is like, where is the game going to be 2 months after launch? Whether it performs or it doesn't perform according to the expectations of the investors. Are they then going to be influencing the microtransactions that will take place in the game? And I know that the developers have repeatedly stated that is not going to be the case. This is the way that things are going to play out. There's no bait and switch. There's none of that. And they've been super transparent. But at the same time, it is a game that is being published by EA. And I'm sure that everybody is aware that, like, EA is not the most trusted company at the moment. That's just what has happened with the business practices that they have done in the past. So the community is, entitled to feel this sense of doubt when it comes to Anthem. And it's just like, I don't know what's going to happen with the future of this game. I know that I want to play it. I know that I want to see what is going on in this world. And I know that I want to experience more of the gameplay that I did in the demo. But I just don't know if that is enough for the game to actually succeed. Did you play the VIP demo? Did you actually get to play the game? Did you try it out? Did you like the gameplay? Do you feel that it is not original enough? Did you like the flying mechanic? Did you not like the flying mechanic? Let me know everything that you think about Anthem in the comment section down below. thank you all very much for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit it up with a like. If you enjoy my videos, usually subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so that you're actually notified when the next video goes live. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
I don't think I'll friend like that. Too bad. I'm just getting started.
It got quiet.
Let it stay that way.